But I hope tell.
I was gonna say, in case they did not get fixation around that back.
Welcome, welcome. 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 I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you were quiet for a minute. T-shirts at the back, okay? Grab one or else. Okay? You are part of a family and we all dress alike. This is our uniform. We expect you to wear it 24/7 till you finish your degree. So, and we also will be joined at the very end by no other than Jessie. Has some important information. Did you get my announcement in Canvas that she's in desperate need of a few of you to maybe help her at the major fair next week for an hour? Remember, service learning, very important. And this will be an opportunity, if you can, to help her recruit some students, answer questions and that kind of thing. Speaking of which, Ben, stand up. We want to introduce to you Ben Drury. All of you tell him at some point in time later today how this is the PhD program he needs to enroll in. He's checking us out. He wants to know if this is the right fit for him. Sounds like he could actually do a wonderful presentation for us as well. He's the manager of experiential learning and professional development in the College of Humanities. So special welcome to you. Anybody else that's here visiting us that we should welcome, other than our distinguished guest? We're grateful to have BYU Online here. This is what BYU Online looks like. And Enoch, I'll help you make introductions in just a few minutes, okay? And then just a reminder, still have a couple weeks left. That's about all. Semester's almost over, in case you didn't know. Get your interviews done. Okay. You jump especially into these project defenses, the thesis and dissertation defenses. There's another one 6 days from now. So please, and a lot of you have already done it. We probably have about a third of you that have finished the interviews, and only about a fifth of you that have done the projects, or I mean the defense and the perspectives.
When offered at a time that we can attend.
That's why you need to jump on that as soon as you can. A lot of these. No. But a lot of, some of these may be available by Zoom. I would check with Jesse and see if, especially one of them, could be recorded or something for you.
Schedule for this.
What the practice is that Jesse and the front desk will send notice 7 days. So when one is scheduled, they automatically send to all of us an email.
It's not a schedule for the semester?
No, because they're not scheduled yet. Professor hasn't said yet it's ready. Okay. And when they say it's ready, then, so it's hard to schedule those beyond a few weeks, as you will find out when you get to that point. Okay. Dr. Rich, anything you want to announce and add? We're glad to have you here. Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Bennett, will you start us with a word of prayer, please? Oh, we have one more announcement, then Bennett can pray. So ready.
This is from Ipso. So if you guys could sign up for volunteering to bring soup and stuff on the sign up sheet, that'd be awesome. And then we have an opening social heritage night. Woo! So that is going to be, mark your calendars, October 20th. It's a Thursday. It's going to be at 6 p.m. potluck. And you bring whatever culture or heritage food you want to bring. And we're going to be decorating pumpkins for the kids. It'll be in here and it'll be really fun. So October 20th, 6 to 7, 7:30.
And if ever you want me to do an announcement in the class, just send it to me and I'll add it to the announcements. Okay. Very good. Thank you, Bennett.
Father in heaven, we gather before thee at this time and thank thee for the opportunity we have to be here receiving an education. And we ask that our minds will be open to ideas and thoughts that are shared today, that we'll be able to apply them to our own lives and to our futures so we can go forth and serve thee with our careers and with our skills and talents. We're grateful to all those that work so hard to make these events happen. Please bless them. We say this in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bennett. We welcome those of you that are on Zoom. Thank you for coming. How many of you know BYU Online? How many? Well, let me ask you this first. How many of you work for BYU Online? Oh my goodness. How many of you will likely, before you graduate, work for BYU Online? The rest of you. Okay.
Don't work for BYU Online, you want to.
Recruiting. That's why hidden agenda today. They're all wanting you to work. We're grateful for BYU Online. IP&T has a very special relationship and partnership with BYU Online. BYU Online depends very much so on our program and on you skilled and talented grad students. I think Enoch, are all three of you graduates of our program?
No, just me.
Just you. Okay. So, and I, in many ways, worked for BYU Online before it was known as BYU Online for many years, and they are pioneers. They have made a big difference, not just here at BYU, but worldwide. They are amongst the leaders in what they do. You also use Canvas, and that's something that, since they have a responsibility for outreach beyond just walls of BYU, they have chosen to use Canvas. And so I think all of our courses are in Canvas and IP&T. I also teach a course outside of IP&T, and they put pressure on me to do Learning Suite. Maybe you might talk a little bit about the choice to go with Canvas if that's appropriate, but just know that they provide tremendous support for those that do teach in Canvas and do reach out of BYU's boundaries. So with that, Enoch, we'll turn the time over to you and your team. You'll make introductions. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for all you do for us.
So just We're gonna introduce ourselves, but just kind of a clarification. I work for BYU Online. We're part of kind of a larger organization, the Division of Continuing Education. And also all three of us are instructional designers within the Division of Continuing Education. We'll go into some of the nuances of what that looks like, but Shalene's going to start with introducing herself.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, now?
Yeah.
Now we're ready.
Okay.
We want to, yeah.
Okay. I just need the third slide in. Okay, so I'm Shalene Ockler, and we're just going to share a little bit about our journey. So the first part of my journey looks like this. I was a single mom that needed to feed my family, and I was in college, and I had 4 kids, and like you guys, when you decide on your major, I was like, well, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. Maybe I'm good at this and I don't like it, right? And you're going through all those things, and what did I want my life to look like? So I got a math and education teaching degree, and that's what I started to do. And I taught for 7 years in the public education system, which looks about like this. What are we doing? If you look at any of these things, right? You look at this and you know, I started to ask the question because I was particularly teaching math, and I had the opportunity to teach kind of lower end math students and the high end math students. So that meant I had everybody in my classroom. And lots of people that didn't want to be there on a good day, right? Like every single math class ever. But what I started to look at was this. This was literally like what I had to teach from. And I had started to ask, why does it look like this? Any ideas why this looks like this? Do you have any idea what it is? What is it? That's a little buggy. That's a car, right? It's one of our first cars. Why does it look like this?
It's the first.
Because it's the first, and what came before it? Horses, right? These were horse-drawn carriages. So if you look at this, you do have wonderful things. This even has rubber tires on it. So it's even made some great progresses from where it started. But what do you notice that it doesn't have? This is the steering apparatus. There's no steering wheel. Why does it look like this? Right? Well, this is exactly what you guys will work in. And I started looking at my education stuff, and the very top end of it was this, but I will tell you, I was duct taping textbooks together. That's the kind of stuff I was working from. And so I started to look at this and said, why do we teach math this way? Well, we teach it this way because it was taught that way before, right? The invention of the blackboard was amazing. Everybody could look at the same thing together. Like not Blackboard, the technology, but Blackboard like chalk and eraser. That was at one time leading technology in education. So I started looking at this and it made me crazy. I'm like, why are we teaching it this way? Well, they would teach it this way because it was one page in the book. So that meant students would understand that concept in one day. But let's just reverse it a little bit. Those concepts I'm teaching took society that 7,000 years to working together to come to. But my 7th grade student, whose most important thing is the cute boy that just said hi in the hall, she's going to get it in like a day. No worries, right? And I was like, this is insanity. Why are we doing this intentionally? So my journey started at feeding my family, but then it started looking at what on earth are we doing? Is anybody thinking about this? And is anybody doing it intentionally? And then I found IP&T kind of degree. Mine wasn't here. Mine was at University of Texas at Austin. And everybody was thinking about this. They were like, wait, why does it look like this? How could we make it better? And I can't go anywhere now, and my family loves to tease me, that I don't look at a situation and say, how can we make this better? How can we intentionally design this for the outcome that we're looking for, right? And so that was my path into this world. And that's who I am.
Me? Oh, that was awesome. Hi, I'm Ana Analise. I am from Mexico, and I actually came to BYU 20 years ago, long time ago, as an international student, and I started studying translation. And my journey is actually a little weird because I got a master's degree in Spanish. And after that, I started working for this company that was developing online Spanish courses. And so I started writing the curriculum, and that's how I got into instructional technology. So from there is the same thing as Shalene, is like, how can students actually learn a language online, and what does that look like? So I have done that for 12 years, and I'm actually really new at BYU continuing education. It's been like 2 years or so, but most of the things that I've done is foreign language teaching and design in foreign language teaching. And right now I'm actually not doing that. I do social sciences and I love it. Else?
Great. Okay, so my educational journey, my journey into IP&T, started out right here. Hopefully you recognize that building. And so I did my undergraduate degree here in English teaching and Spanish education. And I taught English at American Fork High School for a while. Realized that I really liked lesson planning, and not so much like wrestling. So then I was like, well, maybe let's do something else. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do law. So I had that thought for a minute, didn't really go very far. Started studying for the MCAT, what is that? LSAT. And I was like, no, I think I like the idea of like going to law school, but not really practicing law. So let's not do that. So then I thought, well, let's try school again, but let's like go as far away from American Fork High as I possibly can. So I moved to North Carolina, taught middle school and inner city school in Raleigh. Hated it even more. So so then I came back here. I'm like, well, this was a good time of my life. So I came back and did my my graduate degree here in the IP&T program. And after that, I got hired at BYU Online and have been there since then. So that's kind of my path into IP&T. So now that we've kind of talked about a little bit of our background, I wanted to, can you open that one for us? Talk just a little bit about what our organization looks like. I kind of talked about this for a moment, about how the Division of Continuing Education is structured. I think this was part of the reading links that we sent out. So some of you may have had a chance to look at this, but control click.
Yeah, I am, sorry.
Yeah, no, not working.
Flashing on the bottom there.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Internet Explorer. Wow. Wow.
Clearly no one uses this computer. So
Sorry, I should have had this pulled up sooner.
Which one was it?
That top one.
I don't know what.
So that's right, and then you're just gonna click here, that
Well, I guess you guys didn't look at this because I
it
did.
hasn't been unlocked yet.
Brilliant. Okay.
Copy the
URL.
Okay. But it's, forgive me.
Okay. So like our organization, we have independent study classes that we offer. We also have BYU Online classes. We also have BYU Online high school classes. It's kind of a labyrinth. So I thought it might be interesting for you guys to see a little bit of like what at least one organization looks like. Yeah, that was that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Complicated as possible. Okay, so DCE, Division of Continuing Education, has a lot of offerings. And then, so some of them fit within kind of this independent study umbrella. So we've got high school courses, we've got kind of continuing education courses, which would be like, actually not stuff that we're involved in designing, but like your ACT prep and your FSY and all of those kinds of offerings. We've also got university courses that we offer. And then there's also, online high school is not part of independent study, right?
Online well, high school suite.
So high school suite is a thing.
So they have independent study high school courses and then
Right.
online high school is not.
Online high school is separate from independent study because it's not independent study, right?
Two online high school. One is an independent study and one is standalone. Right.
That's right.
So if you're not confused yet, we're gonna try and get you there. BYU Online is for BYU matriculated students who are here sometimes on campus, sometimes out on study abroad. They might be anywhere, but they're BYU matriculated students, and they're progressing through as a cohort in a semester bound course. And that's the same with online high school. Online high school has a teacher, right? They proceed with as a cohort through that experience. So there's kind of some differences there. Independent study courses tend to be independent study, right? They're self-led. There's still a teacher there, but they're more kind of like a grader. And so just out of curiosity, who has taken an independent study course in here? Several of you. Who's taught an independent study course? Okay, who's taken a BYU Online course? Most of you, because some of our IP&T courses are BYU Online technically. Okay, so that's kind of the way the organization works. And my role within BYU Online is I'm the team lead for the design team of BYU Online. So that's kind of what I do. And
Yeah. So I have a couple of hats. Part of my journey was actually through BYU Idaho Online. So I started there and worked with pathway programs and the BYU Idaho Online there. What that means is I was on the front lines of a few different things. First of all, the changeover to Canvas there came via going through Brightspace. If you ever have the opportunity to work with Brightspace, don't, it's awful. They built things in silos such to the point that you could have like your assignment is worth 10 points in the grade book, it could be worth 3 points and you have no idea like which is which. It's really, really neat. So it was bad enough actually that it only took us about 1.5 years to switch out of that. So we had taken and put money and effort and resources into getting everything into Brightspace. And then my opportunity there at BYU Idaho was that I was a project designer. What that meant is I was over 60 classes. So I was over their maintenance. I was over any new development for them. And I was also oddly became over making lots of things work. So to get a Canvas course to work, like we just had like one little moment here, right? That we just couldn't all see that page. And there's lots of pieces in Canvas, but at BYU Idaho, we were working with pathway students, which meant that I don't know how much you know about that program, but they have a reduced cost depending on where they're coming from around the world. So we have one country that's $8 a credit. And then to pay for their like their textbooks and stuff, it's 10% of whatever their cost is. So you can imagine that the textbook we're handing them did not cost $2.40, right? So there were a lot of programs that we had to write and work with the bookstore, which historically, I don't know if you know book people, they're not really tech savvy people. They don't tend, that doesn't tend to cross over very well. And it used to look like, hey, if this is the wrong textbook, here's the right textbook. That was all the tech service or support they needed, right? And now they were literally all around the world trying to get people the right textbook. We had somebody that was in the Russian army in a submarine in the Baltic Sea. So we shipped his books over to a undisclosed location. They put them on a helicopter and took them to another undisclosed location. And he gets the book on the submarine and he has the wrong edition.
Oh,
It was a $15 book and $150 of shipping later. And you can imagine the time that took. He didn't even have the right version, right? So I was blessed with the opportunity to be the go-between with like the bookstore to help them and to talk to all the publishers and to get all of these things coordinated so that we could get everybody on digital books. We could get everybody the right cost models. We could get everybody coordinated, but they're all in the same class, right? And they also needed to talk to student information systems and all those kinds of things. So I am technically the team lead for the University Independent Study classes, but I'm also an admin. And I do lots of that kind of coordination of stuff here because our independent study courses actually have a different student information system than your BYU online courses or campus courses. So when your final grades pop up there, your independent study class, what isn't there? It's a whole different transcript. So I get to work with getting those things coordinated and making them work and do lots of those fun things. And since my road led through BYU, Idaho, where I got to learn all of those things, that is part of what I do here. So as a team lead for the university courses, I'm coordinating with the departments and the professors and my designers to say, hey, departments, what do you need? What do we need updated? When will you have time to do that, right? Because your professors, they have day jobs. Sometimes we don't fit into those day jobs when we need to. So we have to coordinate all of those things. And then we say, okay, we're going to work on this project. And then I'm picking which of my designers has time and bandwidth and fits the mold to do that. So those are the things that I do. Some of the things that I do. Yeah, go ahead.
Awesome. So I'm the team lead for the high school team. And how did I become a lead? I don't know. I was working at K-12 for like 10 years. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but they do K through 12 online, basically online courses. And then I worked, if you have little kids, I work with ABC Mouse and like preschool courses. So I came to BYU and I was not going to be doing world languages, which was new to me. So I started doing the social sciences, and then my boss comes to me and they're like, do you want to be team lead? I'm like, nope, I don't want to be team lead. I had done that for a long time. And so after months, I'm like, okay, fine, I will be the team lead. What does that look like for high school? We have about 6 instructional designers, 7, well, actually 8, with some of our 2-year contracts that work on the different disciplines. So like English, math, foreign languages, social sciences, electives, all of those. So I was told I was a cheerleader for the team, but it's actually more, I think one aspect of being an instructional designer that you might not recognize is project management. And that's a huge part. So getting these courses started, doing all the analysis and what needs to change, and if it's a complete redo of the course because it's like 30 years old, which some of our courses are. And then getting that through design and then getting them live. So there's a huge part of that project management and getting the team to finish the courses on time and under budget. So yeah, we do a lot of that. My favorite part of working with high school is actually seeing the results of what the students submit. So even though I'm not directly involved with the students or working with them, we do for the BYU Online High School, we have these pilots that we release every year. So we work with the instructor and see what's working, what's not working, what we can change, what doesn't need to change, or what we can't change until the next iteration. And so talking with them and looking at what the students submit in their assignments and what I was hoping they would learn is a huge win for me. And sometimes it's like, okay, that did not work. I need to change that assignment, right? But hopefully a lot of the times is looking at the assignment saying, did they learn this or not? The other thing that we're incorporating right now is not something called knowledge, skills, and attributes. So the knowledge part is all this content that we have and we design and it's interactive and we learn, right? Hopefully. The skills, we're incorporating some like micro-credentialing into these high school courses where they work on this assignment and they have this skill they work on, and by the end of the course, they can claim a micro-credential and they get this badge, right? And we're piloting that just this semester now with BYU Online High School. And the attribute part, which is one of my favorite parts, is actually incorporating attributes. So Christ-like attributes into our content. And that is hard to measure. Like, how do you measure if somebody is being Christ-like, right? So what we've done is, at least in my courses, is we've added reflection journals. So I have this world geography class, and there's the part where there's one attribute that they develop throughout the course content. And that, for that one, I think it's respect. And so you get to have fun with it when they're learning about cultures and other languages, reflecting on what respect looks like. How do you respect other people's languages and cultures and differences? And looking at last night, I was looking at the student submissions. I'm like, okay, did they get it? Right. So that reflection piece, we first tell them what respect looks like and what it does not look like. And then they reflect about it, or we give them different scenarios. Like, I think one of them is about time zones or something like that, and respecting time, something that we don't think about often. So far it's looking good. And our hope is that we develop these high school students with these Christ-like attributes that they can reflect on, and they go out into the world and serve.
Get back to
Okay. So I kind of just did this, which is great. Is there anything else you want to say about kind of what you think about with your job and?
So one thing we are working on is templatizing. So creating templates that follow a structure for high school, right? We're not totally done with that yet, but what we're trying to solidify so that when a student comes into our courses, they're like, yes, this is BYU Online High School, and this is the way the instructional strategy works. I think before it was just like a whole bunch of content that you read and a little self-check that we call like a quiz, like, so read, quiz, read, quiz, read, quiz. So that's what we're working on and updating these old courses.
how many courses do you have? How many enrollments do you have? Just approximately, how big is the program?
For high school. So for independent study, do you know?
I know that I have 260
Just-
courses, yeah, but I don't know.
Oh, for like enrollments, I actually don't know, but I think it's, do you know, Erin?
I do a little bit. BYU Online has 21,000 enrollments this semester with 263 sections courses, I think, give or take. So about 21,000 students for taking a BYU Online class. Those are doubles too. The
And
online.
that's BYU Online or high school?
BYU Online.
Okay.
The high school, the two programs have about 1,000 students in them together, a little bit over 1,000 students.
For the actual high school.
Full-time online classes. And then I think independent study enrollment is 6,000. That sound right?
For high school? I thought it was bigger than that.
No, I think,
that's for university.
yeah, I think it's,
I know we're bigger.
20,000 for 20.
yeah, it's more,
20,000.
yeah,
That sounds right.
yeah, exactly. It's 20,000.
Still a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot. And the courses that I oversee in a design cycle are about 3, which in a little bit of personally, yeah,
But on the team, we do.
like 20 about that you're designing a design cycle, and we have 3 design cycles in a year. But shortly I'll be doing like 6 or something.
We
So,
just had some shakeup.
That's
Yeah.
fun.
thanks, Erin.
Okay, so at BYU Online, so I have kind of these dual role, right? I have this instructional designer role, and as an instructional designer, kind of like Anna, I will design any, 2 to 3 courses within a design cycle. Design cycle would typically be about 6 weeks before a semester starts. This is an ideal world, okay? 6 weeks before a semester starts, and then to the end of the semester. And then we have a pilot semester where we continue refining and tweaking and sometimes developing stuff into that pilot. And then we have kind of a semester of closing that, and then it kind of rotates, right? So I might have 3 courses that started at pilot in fall, and then I'll have like another 2 or 3 courses that pilot in winter, right? So this is just kind of rolling thing. So at any given time, I'll have a lot, right? So I'll have pilots going on. I will have design courses that are in a design phase, courses that are in a development phase, and then courses that are just kind of in a maintenance phase. So each designer has their own portfolio of courses that they are in charge of. So my portfolio is mainly with education and humanities. So all the courses that are offered through BYU Online that have that, oh, and student development as well. I think Ben reminded me because I worked with Ben for a couple weeks on a student development course. And so those courses, even after we're through pilot, those instructors will still come and say, hey, Enoch, I need to change an assignment in this class, or this video is not sufficient, we need to create a new one. Or this course is 5 years old, we really need to change it, right? So, and sometimes we'll go to the faculty and say, this course is 5 years old, we really need to change it. So that's kind of my role there. And kind of like what Anna was saying earlier, project management is a huge part of this. So mainly what I do is I consult on best design and pedagogical practices for online learning. That's kind of the main, well, one of the main things that I do, right? This is why I got my degree. This project management piece is a piece that I really wish I would have taken the project management class, because I got thrown into it and realized, oh, like instructional design is a lot of project management. I probably should have taken that class. So take that class. But yeah, just dealing with the clients, dealing with employees. Haley actually works for me. Brianna worked for me for a long time. She's one of our designers right now. Dealing with timelines, right? Like a lot of times it's, okay, we have a full development cycle for this. Sometimes it's, oh, this actually got approved in the middle of when we were supposed to start, like when we're supposed to be half done now. And so we have to manage that. Getting approvals right through different phases of the design process and making sure the stakeholders are happy, and then dealing with budgets, right? So all of that is probably what I spend most of my time doing, right? Like I meet once a week with my instructors, so I'm spending 6 or 7 hours a week on doing this kind of stuff. Maybe more, because then I also look kind of behind the scenes and come up with ideas. But then most of my time, probably at least 3/4 of my time, is of the time that I spend being an instructional designer is on this project management piece. And then also as a team lead, my role is to kind of define, refine, and manage processes, as well as to coordinate with other teams. So we have like a media team, and we have an editing team, and we have the independent study people that we coordinate with, because some of our classes go over to independent study and get converted that way. Also have our admin team who just helps kind of the other end, right? Not the design so much, but coordinating with department chairs and instructors and making sure that we get courses copied and that instructors know what they're doing in Canvas. So all of those teams, I kind of coordinate on behalf of the design team with them. And then also the course quality review is something that's really going on a lot for all of our teams. We're trying to figure out, okay, we have these courses, how do we A, know that they're good, and how do we B, make sure that they're good, right? And so figuring that whole process out and sitting down with other designers and saying, hey, show me what you're developing. Oh, that's a great idea. Let's share this with other people. And also, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? That might be better. Yeah, I have thought about that, but the faculty doesn't want to do it that way. Oh, okay, well then we talk about, okay, how do we work with faculty who maybe don't quite get the vision yet of what an online course looks like, or have a very specific idea of what they want, and how do we kind of bring in these best practices and ideas into that conversation. So that's just kind of a flavor of what I do. Oh, yes, accessibility.
Endlessly.
Yes.
Except I do most of the accessibility for your team.
That's not fair. It's not most.
the old.
There's a chunk. Yeah, there's definitely some of that. Okay.
Yeah, so, as you can see, like I started the same day as Enoch at this. And then we found out we were cousins like a year and a half later. It's great. Only Mormon families can do that. I mean, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints families can do that. Anyway, so I am technically a senior instructional designer, but most of the time I am mentoring. That is probably the key role that I have as a team lead. I have some new, fairly new instructional designers on my team, and I actually have quite a senior instructional designer that I worked with at BYU Idaho before I came. But I have been, even just this week, sitting in meetings with him because he just had a project that he couldn't really wrap his head around. And that will happen. It will happen for different reasons in your areas. Sometimes you just don't have a lot of experience in it. Sometimes you just look at that car thing and you're like, why does it even look like this? Well, there's some really important elements to that car thing, right? The wheels, pretty important, right? Motor, good. But we also, maybe now we need a windshield because we go faster than those went, right? And like getting hit in the face with the bug at the speeds we go now could be deadly. So we should do something about that, right? So there's things and considerations that just continue to come up in your field because technology moves, we change, thank goodness technology moves, right? If we tried to do COVID, go online with technology that we had like 10 years before it happened, we could never have done it, right? So it's really important that we can keep up with those things. But I do a lot of mentoring, I'm in all the kickoff meetings because as Nick was talking about, working with faculty is always an important part of our job. A lot of our faculty, most of our faculty, all of our faculty are not trained on pedagogy. You've all sat in those classes, you all know. I don't have to tell you that, right? Like, oh, you know some stuff, but you have no idea to help us know the stuff you know. Great, let's see what we can do. And I have been blessed to have the opportunity to never have built a class without them coming at the end of it and saying, it's better. I get it now. I understand, because sometimes they don't quite know what they want you to know. They just know they know stuff and you're showing up. And so they're doing the best that they can. So I do a lot of that. And then the template discussions, because I kind of span both worlds of admin and team lead, I do a lot of these discussions at a little bit more of an overall level. I started with BYU Online and then went up to admin and then came over, and that was mostly because of the experience that I'd had across different systems and working from BYU Idaho. So as a team lead, I do oversee the course production. Extra space in there, I apologize. So I work with our product manager and we prioritize our projects, and then, like I say, go to the departments, see when we can do those and work with our people. And then my number one job this is one that spans all of mine, is to remove roadblocks. So the reason actually that my job exists is because we had a class break to the point that students were in it for 6 months without being able to get to a textbook. Now, it wasn't my job. I was an over independent study. And so I'd say, well, say these words to the publisher, and then I'd step back because it wasn't my job. And finally, and about 6 months in, they said, just come and facilitate this meeting. And so I sat down and the publishers were saying these words that didn't mean anything to the people on this side of the aisle. They were saying things like inclusive access. But inclusive access can either mean that you can click on your textbook and it opens in your class, or it can mean that you are taking quizzes through an outside software, right? So like Pearson perhaps might own your quiz. And if they do something like update that textbook and it goes down, now you can't even do your assignments, even if I could hand you a paper copy of your book, right? And that was what had happened in this situation. So I have become fluent in publisherese. And so I get to have those conversations. So that's some of the things I do there. And then accessibility and copyright. Accessibility is one of those places where technology moves, and we're really glad it's moved, right? I mean, lots of us watch TV with captions on, even though we're not hard of hearing, right? There's some really wonderful pieces to that. And especially, I happen to be dyslexic. And so I read a word by the shape of it, which is all fine and good until you get up and tell people that the immorality instead of the immortality is what God's after. Don't work that well, right? So what happens to me is, particularly in classes that are Latin-based, like a science class where you have a lot of those terms, I'm not hearing what they're saying, right? And that can happen across cultures, it can happen across languages, all those kinds of things. So it doesn't have to be that I can't hear what you're saying to use those. So that's that universal design, right? That we all love because everybody uses it. When we did studies at BYU Idaho, our top user of transcripts, not people that can't hear, language learners. That's who's using them the most. Okay, because then they can pull up that word and they can see exactly the word that's being said. And then that can match the word in the textbook. Because how many of you have done that? Like, right, you've seen the word first in print and then you say it out loud and people are like, what are you saying? I don't know what that means. And then you find out that it's a stupid English word and it doesn't have any, right? Its pronunciation has nothing to do with how it's spelled. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff and we're working through how does that look? We, it used to be like if you even had closed captions, you were like in front of the crowd. And now we need descriptive transcripts, right? So if you are a non-sighted student and you are watching a video about a bone, so them just saying the name of the bone is not going to be sufficient, right? Like you're not passing your test off that. Oh, well, I remember that was in the third video, whatever that bone is. Now I have no idea. I can't take the test off, but I can't learn, right? So some of these technologies have just moved. And I will tell you that we have court cases, decisions that get made, and that will move our just what we're doing in these. So these are endless. And that's why I was teaching Enoch, because they will make a course and a semester later, we might need a higher level. And so when I end up pulling that course over to my teams, then I have to hit that higher level, right? And so that's where the accessibility comes in. And then the last thing is just all across lots of different things. Those registration systems I talked about, the LMS, the Canvas is a more universally used system across even the United States. But this even has to do with things like the laws for the EU say that if you are taking a class, an online class anywhere in the EU, you have to house a copy of it within so many hundreds of miles of where you're taking that class. And Canvas sits on Adobe's, not Adobe servers, what are they called?
Amazon.
Yeah, thank you. Amazon servers. And so there are copies of that class literally sitting within hundreds of miles of everybody that are taking them. So that's a crazy law. Who would think of that, right? But it's one of the things that goes into that. And then I personally do the contracts for authors and instruction for all independent city people, which is this year is about 400 for mine. And I don't even know what the numbers are on the high school side. Anyway.
All right. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes and talk about what partnerships and collaboration opportunities there are between independent or continuing education and IP&T. So we've done stuff before with entire classes. We've done stuff with faculty members here. We've also done stuff with students here. So any of those levels that you want to collaborate with us on, we're totally open to that and we love that. So things like program evaluation or product evaluation, if you have a project you want to do in that area, then we probably have opportunities for that. Internships, we've counted lots of people working for us as their internship for IP&T. And then also projects and research. I've got a student working for me right now who's doing her projects kind of spanning her work with us and with the professor here in the IP&T program. And then just general job experience. We love hiring students from IP&T as our IDAs, instructional design assistants. And then we love giving recommendations to you guys when you have to leave us, which is a sad day, but so any of those types of opportunities are open and available. There's even specific projects right now, I think with evaluating some aspects of the program that we are interested in partnering with people here down here with. And then just ongoingly, there's always, not always, but very often there are opportunities to come work for us and come do a project with us. So if you would like to reach out and collaborate, please reach out to one of us and let us know that you have an idea, and we will either be the right person or we'll get you in touch with the right person for continuing education to do that. So I don't know if we have time for just a couple of Q&A.
1 or 2 questions, please.
Yes.
So tell us about blueprints, and do you really need to know some like computer programming in order to create those things?
Blueprint is just a copy of a Canvas course. So Canvas, every time, so you always have like more than one section often, right? We have, for independent study, we have to have more than one section of a course so we can re-enroll. Canvas is a little smarter than BUZZ, which is our old system, and it knows it's you if you come back. So say you sign up for an independent study course and for whatever reason, you didn't finish it, you didn't pass it, you didn't whatever. And so you come back in to take it, and sometimes it's just like glitch in the system, to be quite honest. And they put you back in, but if you say failed it the first time, then it would give you all those grades back. That's not the point of retaking the class, right? You need a fresh copy. Or there are 10 copies in a semester because there's just that many students taking the course, right? So a blueprint is like a parent course, and it will feed to all the children courses, any edits you make in it. So for example, you need to update a due date or a typo, or you want to change an assignment or move it, you can do it in that parent blueprint course, and then you can just sync it and it will just feed to all the.
Did you learn to use blueprints or create blueprints, I guess?
So Canvas, blueprints are a feature of Canvas, right? So all the backend stuff of like how it syncs out and all of that stuff, that is handled on the Canvas end. And you had a question about coding, and I like to run a blueprint, you don't necessarily need to know how to code, but I'd say like in design in general, knowing some HTML, knowing some CSS, even a little bit of JavaScript is really, really helpful. Even if not strictly necessary.
I would say if you want to learn blueprint, mostly you just need to gain the information. We at BYU Idaho, everything's run off of blueprints, as you can imagine, because they literally have like 40,000 students, right? There are just in those classes, and that doesn't count their campus students that are also in those classes. So you can't run a program, right? If you would have to fix every section. So just learning the information on those.
Very good.
And we can help with that.
Let's see, once she comes up, one last question, if there's one burning question. Well, let's thank Enoch. And we will be posting your slides as well as the Zoom recording. They're our partners, they're our friends. They are a laboratory for us to experiment, to do projects. So please take advantage of this opportunity that they've extended to us today. Quick announcement from Jesse, and then we'll have a blessing on the food by Caleb.
I think Dr. Howell sent everyone a link to sign up to help me recruit, right?
Yes.
You all got it, I think.
Are you all reading your announcements in Canvas?
I just am here to encourage you, please, to sign up to help me. The way that our program stays alive and thriving and so fantastic is mostly because of you. The students who are interested in this program are your friends and the people you've talked to. So the more you're involved, the more people we can get to come, and just the better our community becomes. So there are 3 different events you can sign up for. If you have a job with IP&T, you can clock in for that time that you spend hanging out with me. So super bonus, and there's usually food. So there's a recruiting event for design thinking. So if there's anyone who feels passionately about the minor, who took some of those classes and would love to encourage students to hop into the minor, that's a great one to sign up for. Then we have the grad fair, where we're encouraging people to come to grad school and be part of the community. And then the last one that love to have as many people come as want to, even though there are only a few, there are like 4 sign-up spots, is our info fair that we're doing in a couple of weeks. And that's actually the biggest way that we get people to apply to the program. So, and they love having students and faculty here to ask questions and so forth. So love faculty involvement as well. So please open that link and sign up if you have time.
Yes, we'll be happy to do so, Jesse, right? And then I did notice that Ipsos sent another survey out that they want returned by Saturday. If you have a few minutes to, as they look at future activities for the student organization, please take time to respond to their survey. Caleb?
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are very thankful for thy blessings unto us this day. We are thankful for these educational opportunities that we have to be able to learn and grow and develop and help others as well. We are thankful for the food we will have as well. We are thankful for those who have prepared it for us. And please bless it that it may nourish and strengthen us. And we may have the Spirit to be with us and to guide us throughout this day. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And our guest, you're welcome to join us for our tradition of soup and salad and